VDOT. Nice. VDOT turns out for VAGP. It's really
Mhm.
cool. They were at the VAGP conference as well with the whole squad. Yay, so many friends. This is great. Some of you were at the VAGP conference, and Anne and I got to meet you, so it's nice to see you again. We are delighted to be here today. Hey, Lisa. Lisa's my girl from Chesterfield. Um, why don't we go ahead and get started? Because we have a ton to get through today. But I am so excited to be here with you all to talk about the new VAGP partnership with Pavilion. And so, a couple of housekeeping items. We will record this. Everyone will get the recording. And if folks were not able to join today, but they registered, they will also get the recording. And then, if you have questions throughout, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we can try and answer them in the chat, or we will save them for the end for some Q&A. And if it looks like most folks are on mute, but if you're not on mute, you may want to go ahead and do that so that we can give all the airtime to our esteemed guests that are here with us today. So I'll do a quick round of intros in a second, but I just want to say this is the beginning of something wonderful that we are all very excited about. And none of this would have been possible without the support from the VAGP leadership, who was willing to invest their time and energy into this partnership. So thank you, David, Kelly, Chad, many, many others for all of your support with this. This is just the beginning of a beautiful friendship. So, with that, let's intro our panelists. um, Really quick, Anne, do you want to introduce yourself from Pavilion? Not that people need an intro. I think most people probably know you, but we'll do it anyways.
Wow, what an intro before the intro. Hi, everyone. I'm Anne. I do see some new faces and names, but I work at Pavilion with Kate. I lead up our work with other public agencies across the country and especially in Virginia. A fun fact is both Kate and I are UVA alums. So we both jumped at the chance to get to return to our roots with Virginia. Kate's actually from Virginia originally. I used to work in the public sector myself. I worked for the mayor of Kansas City, where my procurement team would use Pavilion to help me deliver on very fast promises that the mayor would make. And so I really appreciate what you do. And now I get to help other teams set Pavilion up for their teams and departments, which is very fun. Looking forward to chatting with many of you.
Amazing. Thank you, Anne. My name is Kate. I am a partner success manager at Pavilion. I'll be leading us today. But just so you all know, when you reach out to us at the end of this to talk about next steps for getting this set up for your agency, you'll be working with both Anne and I throughout the process. So hopefully some familiar faces as you continue on this journey. But we have with us today Lorena, Reyes, and Stephanie Brown, who are both from agencies within Virginia who have been using Pavilion for a very long time and have actually really been kind of partners in building this thing with us because they have answered our many questions and provided us lots of feedback. So, what you will see today, as far as how Pavilion works and what we have to offer, is really something that was co-built with your peers throughout the state of Virginia. So, Lorena, do you want to do a quick intro?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Lorena Reyes. I'm a buyer too for Alexandria City Public Schools. I have been with Alexandria City Public Schools for the past 14 years. Yeah, I know.
Mm.
We were actually one of the first partners to work with Pavilion, getting our contracts on board and out there for everyone to find. So we're excited to be here and present this afternoon.
Stephanie, do you want to do a quick intro?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. Very happy to be here to be able to be part of this. I am the director at Chesterfield County. We have responsibility for purchasing for both the county and the school system. So we are unique in comparison to some other jurisdictions that have the county and school system separated. We are on the newer end of adopting Pavilion. We work with Kate to streamline our customizations and roll that out. And we are actually going to be implementing our new e-procurement system with UNA, the bonfire system, and you'll get to see some of the neat features of having it embedded into your e-procurement platform as well for your end users to be able to access. So I'm excited to be able to share our recent experience adopting Pavilion and how we see the benefit at our agency.
Amazing. Thank you. We're so grateful to both of you for being partners with us in this. Um, so, for folks who are less familiar with what Pavilion is, just a quick overview. Pavilion is a free procurement platform built specifically for public agencies to help with your day-to-day purchasing and make that faster and easier for your procurement teams and also for your departments in the situations where you have more of a distributed purchasing model. So if you have ever had a department come to you with questions about compliance or vendors that they can work with or contracts they can use, and you're kind of constantly playing whack-a-mole, this is a tool that can help you to better support your departments with kind of having all of your vendors and contracts and compliance guidance under one roof in a really simple, kind of easy to use tool. And the best part, I think, is that it's completely free for public agencies. It's not a subscription program. There's no implementation cost. It's really important to us that we support public agencies with a free tool. And so this is something that's going to be coming at no cost to anybody in Virginia or beyond. We have over 3,500 public agencies across the country already using us, everybody from cities to counties to school districts and universities, and lots of VAGP friends are using us already today. Lorena and Stephanie are going to speak specifically about the more customized version of Pavilion, which is what we're hoping to roll out to VAGP members specifically. But a lot of folks in the room are probably already familiar with kind of the OG version of Pavilion, which is a cooperative contracts sort of search engine that brings all of the cooperative contract sources from national consortiums, other municipalities, other states, all under one roof. Said a lot of this already, but just to reiterate, Pavilion is here to help you find vendors really fast, access cooperative contracts, get requisition ready quotes. That's particularly helpful for your departments, and just overall empower your departments to self-serve in ways that will keep them within kind of the boundaries of your compliance policy. I like to use the analogy that telling your departments to search on Pavilion is kind of like bowling with bumpers. They can still go bowling, they can still have fun, but we're not going to let them totally gutterball it. So you will see kind of what that looks like in action here in a second. Next one. And so what the VAGP partnership with Pavilion means specifically is that we are really making a concerted effort to work with as many agencies as we possibly can in the state of Virginia via partnership with VAGP to get this all set up. So what we are offering and what you'll kind of see in action today is a platform configured specifically to your agency's purchasing policy. And what that means is you'll get dedicated time with Anne and myself to talk through what that would actually look like, make sure we have a really good understanding of your purchasing rules and thresholds. And then we set Pavilion up so that when folks run searches, they are actually going to see vendors and contracts and be given purchasing guidance that is tailored to your specific agency. And with that, you also get hands-on onboarding and training support for your staff. So we come in and make sure that we help you with the strategic communications internally, and that we help facilitate trainings with your procurement team and your end users, so that everybody feels really confident in using Pavilion. And then obviously there's kind of a co-branded experience on the platform where we've got your agency logo, we've got VAGP logo. Everything is kind of tailored to you all, with lots of white glove support along the way from our team. So that is kind of what Pavilion is in a nutshell, and what the VAG partnership entails. And I don't know if I missed anything, jump in and let me know. But otherwise, we will jump right into showing you a little bit more what this actually looks like using Alexandria City Public Schools and Chesterfield County setup as examples, to really hopefully bring this to life for folks, and give you a chance to hear from your peers who are using this day in and day out.
Oh God, it's at 2 o'clock.
Sure is. Okay. So with that, let's jump right in. And the first thing that you're going to see here, if everything is working correctly, is actually kind of a view of what this looks like in practice for Chesterfield County, where we have built in some of their purchasing guidance directly into the platform. Chesterfield has a policy where below, Stephanie, I think it's $10,000. If folks are working off of a cooperative, they can get by with just getting one quote, but if they end up spending more than $10,000 and they're utilizing a cooperative, they actually need to get 4 quotes to match Chesterfield's policy. So what you're seeing here is an example of that dynamic purchasing guidance getting built in, where folks run a search for whatever it is they need to buy on Pavilion. They can search for goods, vendors, services, whatever it is. And we will put them on the correct purchasing path, which in this case is to use a cooperative contract, and give them guidance about the correct number of quotes to be getting. So that's kind of an explanation of what you're seeing here going on the screen. But Stephanie, if you want to speak a little bit more to just kind of how this is working in practice with building y'all's compliance guidance directly into Pavilion to support your departments and your schools.
Sure. And I'll kind of preface it's really trying to frame it from the perspective of we're hoping that our departments will not just go out and look specifically for a
We lost
No.
Stephanie for a moment there. She froze right at the most critical part. See if she comes back. um, Looks like Stephanie's maybe gonna drop and rejoin. That's a cliffhanger though. Goodness gracious. Maybe Lorena, you can jump in and speak a little bit about this, because we have a similar setup, of course, with Alexandria Public Schools, and we've got a slide here with that sits still a little bit better than the last one to give you a sense of some of that more dynamic guidance that we have built in.
Right. So how it has, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So how it has worked for us, it is amazing. We have our end users, we've trained our end users to use this tool when they are looking for goods or services that either one, they don't know we have a contract with, or two, it's new goods or services they're looking to purchase. So we guide them to go into Pavilion, search for those goods or services, and put a number as to how much they're looking to spend. Once they put that information, what Pavilion does is it populates all of the possible cooperative contracts that are out there, and it brings up any active contracts with those verbiages that they're looking for. It will bring them up to the top. And so it would have like a little orange star saying ACPS contracts. So you can dive deep into the contract and see if it's for the goods and services you are looking for, then you utilize that contract. But if it's something that we don't have an existing contract, either one, depending on the path, on the right side, we also have how many quotes you may need depending on your purchase threshold. Then if it's a one-time purchase, then you just select the vendors that are offering those goods and services you're looking to purchase, select X number of vendors. And the beauty about this is the Pavilion, once you select the vendors, you type up an email that it will go to all of the vendors you have selected. You don't have to send individual emails to all the vendors, and you do not have to come into Pavilion to receive the vendors' responses. Those responses will automatically go into your email. And so then you have all the supporting documentation to upload into your requisition to get a PO. And then another beautiful feature that Pavilion has is that they also have team members from Pavilion who are also following up. So if you have something that you search for and perhaps you got sidetracked and you never finished your search, they send you notifications. Hey, this is still in your queue. Are you looking to continue to purchase? Or was it just something that you were searching? So it is something nice that we have and we've made available. It was easy to set up. We work very close with the Pavilion team, provided all of our contracts. We actually house our contracts in our website through Smartsheets. And so Pavilion just goes in there and imports the contracts, any new contracts. If we have renewals that have been updated, they get imported into our website, and Pavilion automatically goes in and brings them in to their website. So everything is just a tip of a finger away, and it works amazingly. This helped us out a lot because before, if we had a writer in place, we had to reach out to from whoever we were writing those contracts for to see if the renewals were already done, and then wait to do the renewals ourselves. Versus now, it's just a click away. You see the renewal, and then you can just continue doing your own renewals within your district.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Lorena, that was so great. You touched on so many wonderful things. And I do have to give a shout out to Lorena because they were one of our earliest partners. And I gotta say, the version of Pavilion that they started with us on did not look quite so slick. So she has really seen multiple versions of this and given great feedback to kind of iterate with it over time. But something that you mentioned that I want to highlight that I think is really neat is you're right. You mentioned that you all store your contracts for ACPS in a spreadsheet. We've seen that spreadsheet. It's a beautiful spreadsheet. It's quite organized. But the beauty of being able to bring those ACPS contracts into Pavilion is that when somebody runs a search for something on Pavilion, we can point departments to their own existing contracts when they have certain contracts in place that are relevant to the purchase being made. Which is really nice because it prevents departments from getting too far down the path of trying to work with a vendor on a cooperative contract or trying to get quotes from a vendor when there's a useful contract that can get the job done that you all have already pushed a contract out with and it's already in place, and there's really no barrier to just going ahead and making that purchase that same day from that vendor because they're already on contract with you. And you mentioned too the fact that we have piggyback contracts on here as well. So ACPS, what they've done is not only have they added their own contracts onto Pavilion, but they have also flagged all of the contracts that they have piggyback addendums with, and they've actually uploaded those piggyback addendums in here. And so um, uh, they can now get notified every time the piggyback is expiring, and obviously when their own contract is expiring too. So you get, actually, I have an example here that I can show you real quick. If I can get to the right slide. You can get an email just right to your inbox when those contracts are expiring to give you heads up that one of the contracts that you're piggybacking off of is coming to an expiration soon, to make sure that you are aware of it and need to and can do whatever it is that you need to do to take care of addressing that contract expiring. So lots and lots of good reasons why it's helpful to have ACPS's contracts kind of all in one place and under the same roof as the cooperative contracts, right? So if there isn't actually an ACPS contract that's going to work, we don't have to slow the department down at all. We can just say, great, let's get you quotes or a cooperative contract instead.
It does look like we've got Stephanie back, Kate, by the way.
Nice. Okay.
You do have me back. Part of being a procurement professional is rolling with the punches, right? And we lost internet connection in the office, so I'm on my phone and improvising, but we'll get through this.
Incredible. Wow. Good stuff. Look, there's nothing she can't do.
I will jump in, not hearing the context before Lorena shared how they're using and posting their contracts in Pavilion, but the more Virginia entities that utilize this feature, especially smaller agencies that maybe don't have the bandwidth to post them through their own kind of system to publicly have that available, the more information that's available to other Virginia entities to be able to ride those contracts. So, I don't know about others, but I look to my go-to entities to say, hey, do they have a contract for this or that when we're in a pinch? And, being able to access them in one place versus having to go to each individual organization's website is a powerful tool.
Yeah, I think that was, I'm so glad you said that, Stephanie. And I think that that's one of the things that we and VAGP are both really excited about with getting as many Virginia entities on Pavilion as possible, is really building out kind of that shared resource of your neighbors' contracts, right? Because if somebody somewhere in Oklahoma's doing something and you can use their contract, okay, that's great. But if you're sitting in Richmond and somebody in Chesterfield has done a contract, you're definitely going to want to use that because it's your neighbor and more likely to have all of the specific addendums and things like that that you need for state of Virginia. Stephanie, while we're on the topic of contracts, do you want to talk a little bit about how we pull in your contracts? Lorena talked a little bit about how we're able to pull in their contracts from a spreadsheet that they publish. But you all are a little bit different at Chesterfield, and you have your contract management taking place on Bonfire, and we're pulling them in through that. So do you want to speak a little bit about kind of where Pavilion sits on Bonfire in general, how that enables us to pull in your contracts, and how that enables us to kind of fit seamlessly into your team's existing workflows?
Sure. So we're actually in transition right now. So we're not live with Bonfire out to our end users. We're in implementation phase, but we do publicly post all of our contracts on our current e-procurement platform, which is publicly available. So actually, Pavilion's able to go out there and pull them where they're publicly posted, and we're not having to do anything. It's a seamless operation for us that will transition into when we go live with Bonfire, where those contracts, we're not having to manage in a separate place. We're not having to manually upload those to Pavilion. provide any updated information, it automatically goes there, seamless, available to anyone. Any of the documents that we have publicly posted are also available. Another benefit of, if you don't publicly post your contracts now, having them posted through Pavilion, cuts down on the request for information. It's a customer service tool. It allows you to have that information accessible to other entities without bogging down your staff for those requests for specific information related to the contract documents that are needed for another entity to be able to ride that contract. So that's just another benefit.
Yeah, we're really, really excited to have you all go live with Bonfire. Oh yeah, go ahead.
And I failed to mention, and I know you all integrate in several e-procurement platforms, but when we do go live, there will be a tab, a community tab, where our staff can go directly into that community tab and click on the cooperative contracts link, and they can access Pavilion directly in our e-procurement platform instead of having to go to, a separate web platform.
Yes, which we're really excited about because we want to be a tool that really helps streamline the way that people do work. And so if we can fit in where folks are already going to do their work, whether that's Bonfire or OpenGov or Beacon Bid, we want to be able to do that. So Chesterfield's working with Bonfire. I think a lot of folks in state of Virginia work with Bonfire. We also integrate with OpenGov and Beacon Bid, which means that within those tools, there is a link to Pavilion to find cooperative contracts and vendors that folks can use. And then it also enables us to kind of automatically link up to contract databases and pull in contracts automatically, which is super helpful, time saver. But it's nice to kind of have both the Chesterfield and the ACPS example here because ACPS does it differently, and we're still able to pull in their contracts in a sort of light touch, ongoing way. It's really important for us that this does not become a big burden on procurement teams to keep feeding us data to keep their contracts refreshed and up to date on Pavilion. And so we try really hard to make this as easy as possible so that we can get the benefit of having your own contracts stored on Pavilion without the burden on your team of having to maintain that. And I should clarify too that Stephanie's been talking a lot about making your contracts available to folks outside of your agency, which I think is such a huge benefit and something we're really excited about with this partnership, like I said. But if you do have contracts also that you only want available to your internal team, kind of for your eyes only, if you will, because they're not shareable or for whatever reason, it's just not something that you want visibility on for folks outside of your own agency, we can set it up so that there's visibility for folks just inside of your particular agency too. Stephanie, we were starting to chat a little bit before you dropped about just kind of the customized sort of dynamic purchasing pathway guidance that we've set up specifically for Chesterfield. And while you were being resourceful and reconnecting, Lorena talked a little bit about what that looks like for ACPS, but I'd love to go back and talk a little bit about what that looks like for Chesterfield, since we didn't get to finish that thought.
Yeah, sorry about that. So, this is a very easy customizable setup where you can put in your own procurement rules and regulations. For us, we want the departments to go out there and think about what can they do in a competitive space under their delegated authority. So for us, they can operate up to 50,000 under their delegated authority, but there are rules on how many quotes they need to obtain at different dollar thresholds. So we were able to set that up so that it would guide them to, what is necessary, how many quotes at what dollar threshold. They can view cooperative contracts and certainly go that route, we also were able to preload contracts that we know are cooperative organizations that we know that have been vetted by our legal team and have those populate first. We also have, certain ones that we know we cannot use that our legal team has said the framework doesn't exist and we can exclude those from their search if that's what we choose to do. But the thing that I think is very valuable is our departments are going out and obtaining quotes on their own. Sometimes it's the wild, wild west and they do whatever they want to do. You know how that goes. But having them search through Pavilion, you're able to set up kind of those parameters. Oh, you need another vendor. You only have, 3 quotes when you need 4. Here are the things that you should be asking for when you ask for a quote from this vendor. You can template that so that it ensures that you receive the elements that you need in the procurement department when you're receiving that quote. Does it have the delivery instructions? Does it have, FOB destination? What are your requirements? And you get to customize that to ensure you receive a quote that doesn't require your staff to then have to go back to a vendor and ask additional questions because they weren't asked on the front end. So that for me, I think is a valuable tool at our in-using department level and guiding them to provide a more thorough product to us in procurement when it's something that's going to land on our desk that we need to process. We know they're doing the search without us. If we can guide them, we're getting a lot better information by having them go through this platform.
Right. And I think the hope is that when they do finally show up at your doorstep after they've gotten some quotes on Pavilion, it makes it a lot easier and faster for your team to approve things and not have to do a lot of back and forth on quote volumes or quote formatting or data requirements or things like that.
And if they go to search and there's a contract that we have they're supposed to utilize, that pops up and reminds them that there's a Chesterfield contract that they should be using for this purchase. So again, great tool to just provide guidance is another mechanism to help your departments work within the parameters that you've defined under small purchases or even, cooperative procurement in general that exceeds beyond the small purchase limit. It's one tool in the toolbox to get better results. And, even if you get 10% of your end using department working in the system, that's 10% of the requisitions that you're getting in a better method than those that are kind of working on their own and not using the guidance that this tool creates.
Yeah. I have an example here. The little video will reloop and go back to the beginning here in a second. But an example specifically of what you were just talking about, Stephanie, and what Lorena had mentioned as well, where when folks run a search, if there is an existing contract that you already have that would get the job done, we're going to nudge them in the direction of working with the vendor that you already have. And they can find the contract record on Pavilion. They can look into the details of the contract, the expiration date, the details of the vendor, find documentation all right there on Pavilion. And we will actually kind of link the documentation automatically when folks reach out to vendors on Pavilion via email to request quotes so that your department users don't have to worry about connecting the right contracts and getting all the documentation there. It sort of automatically gets pulled in for them so that they don't have to worry about that paperwork. I want to shift here now to talk a little bit about some of the broader visibility. Whoops, and I meant to change slides, and I think I accidentally stopped sharing my screen, but I'll get us to the right place and then I'll share again. So another one of the features on Pavilion is that you all in procurement have visibility into all of the activity that's happening on Pavilion across your entire agency. So Lorena, for you, it's district-wide, kind of across all of your different schools, having visibility into the types of things that your end users are looking to buy. Stephanie, great for you because it's Chesterfield County and the schools all under one roof. So this enables procurement leadership to kind of get early visibility into what's happening in their departments, and actually be able to kind of peek over the shoulder of their department end users to see what it is that they are doing. Stephanie or Lorena, either of you, welcome to jump in if you would be willing to share a little bit about how this kind of um, omniscient view has been helpful to you, or maybe how it's kind of different from what you had previously.
Okay, so like for me, this will actually, we are training our end users to use Pavilion. That way we get less mistakes when we receive requisitions on our end. So with getting this report, I'm seeing who is actually utilizing the services and who is not. That way we know who we need to reach out to and what additional trainings we may need in order for them to start utilizing the services. Because I mean, this is just going to make your job a lot easier. Everything's like one tip, like a fingertip away. So having this feature will help us prepare. Like, you know, we've started doing the forum every summer. So with this information, we know that we need to do a session specifically pertaining to Pavilion. That way we reach more folks out there. And, you know, a lot of people are scared to start utilizing new programs. So we want to show them how easy it is and how it will facilitate their work.
I'll just
Yeah.
piggyback on that. I think that having the access to the information at a agency level allows you to see maybe things that are forthcoming. You know, departments that are getting quotes or looking at cooperatives for certain things that haven't hit procurement's desk yet. It gives you the opportunity to kind of do a review of what our department staff are doing. We wouldn't have that visibility without, you know, either it coming centrally through procurement or them reaching out directly to us if we weren't able to see what they're actively searching. You have staff that change even in your procurement department. You can go back and look at history. We don't have to rerun queries or, you know, see what was quoted or ask for additional quotes when we can go back and see that another staff person within the office has already done the research on that specific good or service.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to show here kind of some of the detailed visibility that you can actually get. There is that broader kind of agency-wide view where you can kind of scroll through the list and see all of the different requests that are happening across the agency. And then you can actually click into each individual one and see pretty extensive details, down to the level of being able to see some of the vendor back and forth that's happening. When somebody, sends an email to vendors on Pavilion asking to get quotes, like Lorena mentioned earlier, all of that back and forth actually happens out of their personal email inbox after they have initiated the message on Pavilion. Which is great because it means that they get to just continue working on that request in their email inbox, which is where they're already turning to do that kind of work. But because the message originated on Pavilion, we have the ability to kind of track the back and forth messages that are happening. And it's great because it gives procurement visibility into the back and forth that's happening with their department end users and these vendors, which is definitely not something that you would otherwise have. But end users are, excited about this as well because they have the ability when it comes time to submit their requisition, and they've reached out to, I don't know, anywhere from 3 to 5 vendors, depending on the nature of the request, and they've got all this email back and forth. They can just put together a handy PDF download that they can just attach to their requisition, and it's got details of their messages. It's got details of the contracts that were utilized for quoting. So it makes it very easy for everybody to have clean documentation and kind of be on the same page about what transpired up until the point that the requisition comes to your desk, right? Because a lot of times in procurement, it's a bit of a black box up until that point. You try and collect a paper trail and get some documentation along the way if you can. But oftentimes by the time it arrives on your desk, it's been going for a while and you don't always have that visibility. So um, awesome. Thank you both so much for sharing about that. Um,
Kate, I would like to also add another beautiful feature that the Pavilion has. When you're searching for quotes, you can also add a collaborator, per se. That way, let's say that it's your principal or director that has assigned this project to you. You can also incorporate their email address and they will receive all of this in their email addresses as well. That way, you won't have to be forwarding everything. So anything that it changes or happens within the request, they will automatically receive as well what those documentations. So if your principal needs to review those quotes, it will automatically go to their email and they can just approve it so you can move forward with your purchases.
I'm so glad you said that because I had forgotten to draw attention to that. So thank you so much, Lorena. Um, you're spot on. You can add collaborators. You can add them at a couple of different points. Your departments can actually have them CC'd on the initial email that goes out, and they remain kind of CC'd all along the way. Or you can add folks retroactively after everything's already been put together and they just need a final look. So there's lots of different ways to add collaborators to these requests on Pavilion and enable some of that shared visibility from the early stages.
And this may have been mentioned when I dropped, you also have the ability, if you have requirement to, make purchases with specific classified vendors, SWAM vendors, diversity vendors, whatever your agency calls them, you have the ability to see vendors that meet those requirements for your specific agency when you're searching as well.
Yeah. One other quick thing that I want to share too, and then I think shortly here we want to get into your all's questions about this and make sure that everybody feels ready to go with taking the next steps to reach out to Ann and I to get this set up for your agency specifically. But one last thing that is nice for procurement leadership specifically is when folks get quotes on Pavilion and then document the quote values, we're able to do some simple math to figure out what the estimated cost savings are across your agency by doing competitive quoting. So we will take the difference between the most expensive quote and the quote that was ultimately awarded or selected, rather, as the quote that you all wanted to use. And figure out what that difference is and do it across all requests across the entire platform so that you in procurement, when it comes time to doing your year-end reporting to your leadership at your agency, you can have a sense of what cost savings you have driven agency-wide by making it easy to do kind of healthy, consistent competitive quoting according to your all's requirements. And you can filter this by department or look at it in aggregate. But that is another benefit of kind of having as many of these requests running through Pavilion as you can, is that you'll get that automated reporting. A couple of other quick things, and then I'd love to save plenty of time for questions. But this one is super hot off the press, but we just recently created a browser extension that folks can download and install on the Chrome store or the Edge store, depending on what browser you all use at your agency. But the way that it works is if anybody in a department is actually going directly to a vendor website, we can flag when that vendor has cooperative contracts on Pavilion so that if folks are doing research and they maybe don't realize that a contract exists, and like Stephanie said, folks are going to go get quotes oftentimes just directly with vendors. This is a neat little tool that helps kind of intercept and make sure that folks are aware that there actually are cooperative contracts that exist out there that they could use with better pricing, or just to expedite the purchasing process because fewer quotes are required in those instances. And Lorena mentioned this earlier too, but we have a concierge team at Pavilion, because we really want to make it easy and fast for folks to get quotes from vendors. And that team will follow up with vendors if they're not getting back to you in a timely manner. And they will also just do some of the research for you if you want to phone a friend and tap into that team for support. So if your departments are having trouble, this service exists for them to get some help finding vendors and hopefully take a little bit of the burden off of your team, to do all of that work. It's kind of giving you an extra set of hands to get things done and help your departments out with self-serve. And then the last thing, and then we'll head to Q&A, is just if you are newer to Pavilion, or maybe you've run searches and found contracts but never actually gone all the way through with messaging a vendor, we have a vendor out there called the Pavilion Sticker Company. And I know many of you saw our fun procurement stickers at VAGP. Hopefully, a lot of you got to take some home and put them on your laptops and your badges. But if you want some more, or you want to just try out Pavilion, you can go find this vendor. It's kind of hidden on Pavilion. Well, not that hidden. If you search it, you'll find it. But you can send them a message, and we'll send you some stickers in the mail as a thank you for trying this out. And it also enables you, and especially your departments, an opportunity to kind of try it out and feel more comfortable using it before they actually message real vendors. So with that, I'd love to open it up to Q&A if folks have questions they've been putting in the chat, or if folks want to just come off mute and ask questions, that would be great. And please do scan the QR code, and it will take you to a page where you can actually book a meeting directly with Anne and talk a little bit more about what it would look like specifically for your agency to get this set up. It really is a pretty painless process. We try to make it as light touch as possible. We know that folks have been through many cumbersome tech implementations before, and we're trying really hard not to be that. So it's a pretty lightweight process. We can get you set up in a call or two, and then you're off to the races. But yeah, we would really love to set this up and support as many Virginia agencies as we can with this through the VAGP partnership. Um, so
There
yeah.
are definitely some really good questions in the chat that I was doing my best to answer as we went. There are a few I missed, so would love to bring those up now if that's a good time.
Yeah,
One was
for
about
sure.
how do we include MBE and SBE suppliers? And I think the good news for everyone is Virginia SWAM vendors are already on Pavilion. So that will make it really easy. You actually don't have to do anything new. Anytime anybody searches and a Virginia SWAM vendor is available, they'll show up in the results. And there are different ways you can kind of filter for them or set them as your priority, depending as needed. The other one that came up was around like, is it only purchasing that has access? Do departments have access? There's also a question of like, who needs to be involved? So thinking about stakeholders, this is available for anybody who needs to find vendors and get quotes from them. So for many teams, that does involve departments getting access. In those situations, we will work with purchasing to kind of get you set up first to make sure the purchasing team feels really good about it. And then can answer questions if departments come to you. But then we'll help train and get this in the hands of anyone across your agency that gets quotes across those departments. Some folks start with like the most frequent purchasers or the people who ask you the most questions and then expand from there. When it comes to who should be involved in the initial setup, would definitely recommend having somebody kind of in like leadership of your procurement team. I think we've seen that's really helpful. Somebody who can be like, yes, these are the departments that should get involved. Is kind of going to be one of the key questions that we ask at the very beginning to know who we're setting this up for. And then people who are involved in managing your contracts may also be a good stakeholder to have involved in that initial setup. Kate, did I miss anything on stakeholders?
No, I think you got it, Anne. That's perfect.
Just add your IT department. Our IT department did fully vet the product, and usually that a security scan or review is required. So don't forget that step.
That is
Perfect.
very true. And as needed, Anne and I pull in our technical gurus who can talk the talk and walk the walk of IT teams and security teams to get all of your questions answered. Which speaking of, Latasha put some good questions in here too about kind of data security and how data is um, protected when it's shared on Pavilion. One thing that I will say is that overall, we really try anytime we are bringing in your agency specific data, we really try to bring in only the bare minimum amount of data that we need to make sure that we are flagging to your internal teams when they have contracts and share the basic details of those contracts. Um, and so the list of data that we need to make this work is actually surprisingly short, and it usually does not involve any sensitive data. But we do have security controls in place to make sure, as needed, that data that should be only for your agency is visible only to your agency. But those are the kind of questions that I think too we would make sure we have our security person talking to your security person to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. And I don't know if you have more details there.
No, I think that that's perfect. We can kind of handle it for each of you depending on your teams and your needs and your data. I think the other thing related to that someone asked is around does everyone need their own email to sign up, or own account? And the answer is yes, but we make it really easy. So anybody who signs up from your agency with their work email will automatically be added to kind of the world that you set up on Pavilion for them. And that means that they can get quotes and responses from vendors directly in their email rather than clogging a central procurement inbox, which I think might make things a little crazy. And then the last question I saw was around trainings, which is something Kate specializes in here, around do we do training beyond implementation? Kate, do you want to share a little bit about how trainings work and the
Yeah,
ongoing support?
for sure. So in the beginning, we definitely make sure that everybody who needs to be onboarded has been sufficiently onboarded. And so we can do trainings for your procurement team. We can do trainings for pilot groups. We can do broader trainings. We're happy to host multiple trainings because I know scheduling can often be a challenge when you have multiple parties involved. And so oftentimes we will host a couple of options of times that folks can come and join a live training. And then we will work with you over time to do refresher trainings. I know we've done this with ACPS for sure. Um, just because you get new staff, or maybe somebody the first time the training bus came through town didn't actually have a lot of purchases that they need to make. Not every department is purchasing all of the time. Sometimes they purchase just a couple of times a year. And so, we want to catch them at a time that is relevant for them. So we are more than happy to kind of work with you. Both in the beginning and then over time to make sure that folks continue to be aware of what this thing is and feel confident with using it. These are great questions. Thank you guys so much. Does anybody have any other questions for us? You can throw it in the chat, or you're welcome to just come off mute and say hi and share your question.
That's a great question. I feel like that's a good question for Lorena and Stephanie too. Are
I
there any
know.
cons to doing this?
As I mentioned, it's one tool in the toolbox. So I think, we have not encountered any negative reaction. The end users that have been using it have said it's a great tool for them. It helps them be able to go to one stop instead of trying to do a lot of internet queries. So from our perspective, it's one tool in our many tools that we have in our toolbox to be able to accomplish the things that we need to accomplish.
Right. We don't have any cons either. Matter of fact, to make it easier on our end users, I have even added the Pavilion link under my signature block. So if people have questions, there's just one click away.
Yes. And someone threw in the chat, it's either Casey or Cassie, I don't know how you pronounce your name, but can bookkeepers use this? I think at ACPS, that's like one of the primary user groups, right, Lorena, is your bookkeepers
Yes.
and your admins. Yeah. Yeah. So no limit really to who can use this, so long as they're associated with your agency. And there's no limit to the number of, users you can have within your agency. We basically get it set up once at large for your agency, and then there's no limit to the number of folks that can use it.
And there's no cost at any point. There's no cost to training. There's no cost to the tool. We were built by a former public servant who really felt strongly that we needed to build a business that was free for public agencies, the tool that she wished she had. And I think Kate shared this earlier, but we're able to do that because we're free for you. We're free for suppliers to sign up and get like leads from you. But some suppliers pay for premium features. And so we have a whole other side of our business that offers paid features to suppliers who want to sell and expand their presence with local governments. And they pay, so you don't have to.
Yeah. And without getting into the details of how that works, we've got it set up so that the big guys don't have an unfair advantage against the little guys. I know that's a question that comes up a lot when we talk about suppliers paying us. But obviously, it matters to you and it matters to us that local businesses continue to get government work. So that is not something that interferes with that at all.
And I see some, I won't say who, but somebody has already used the QR code to book a meeting. So everyone else jump on. We're going to have fun getting each of your agencies set up next, and shout out to that person who gets a gold star for being first to book after this.
I did want to say thank you to Kate and Ann. I'm Keith Jones. I'm a buyer with Chesterfield Public Schools. And I think over the last couple weeks, maybe month, we've actually started the process of getting Chesterfield Public Schools utilizing Pavilion. So we're in the first little infant stages, but as of right now, it's going very well. And when I brought all my buyers in for a little demo for Pavilion to do the demo, everyone was like so amazed that there's this tool out here that we can utilize, and how much time it would save not only them but end users within the school district. So I just want to say thank you again.
Yay, Keith. We love working with Keith. I'm glad I get to work with him. Amazing. Oh, we have a hand. Yeah.
Yes, this is Carlene. I'm at Newport News Public Schools. The question I have for you guys is, I already work in Pavilion. A lot going in to get cooperative contracts. So if you are a member as a buyer for your district, are any of these tools available to us as an individual, or do you have to sign up through this presentation for the district itself?
Yeah, that's a great question. You can log in at any point without needing your district to have given you permission in advance to do so. We will be able to detect which agency you're with and make sure that we're getting you connected to the correct view. What we do need your broader procurement leadership support for is building out some of the custom agency specific functionality that we showed today, like we have for Chesterfield and ACPS. There's still lots and lots you can do on Pavilion. You will just probably, until your broader procurement team is involved, you will see a slightly simpler, more universal version of Pavilion that doesn't have necessarily your agency's individual thresholds or purchasing pathway guidance and contracts built in. But there will still be plenty of access to cooperative contracts and lots of other good things just with your own individual email.
Thank you.
All right. Ooh, we did get one last buzzer beater question here at the end, but then I think we may have to wrap since we're at the top of the hour. But yes, Pavilion can help with making sure that you find the best price. We have, in a lot of cases, we've got the pricing documents in here for cooperative contracts. And then our concierge team too can lean in a little bit to help make sure that you are able to find good pricing as well. So. Awesome. Thank you all so much. Thanks for staying over a minute. And many, many thanks to Stephanie and Lorena for talking about how we're doing this with you. I think that really helps bring it to life for people and is certainly much more interesting than just hearing me gab about it. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining today. And we look forward to working with you. Take care.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.